so at approximately 7:45 p.m., we had a two-man car where they were conducting a vehicle check. So the officer was attempting to conduct a vehicle check in the area of Grand and Gravois. As they approached the car, the passenger, he turned out to be a black male in his 30s. He ran from the car, gripping the front of his waistband. The officer, who was a passenger officer, followed him, and so they ran. I guess this would be an easterly direction. They ended up in the 3400 block, in the rear of the 3400 block of Virginia. Once they got there in that alley, the suspect climbs the fence or hops the fence. The officer is right over there, also hops the fence. At that point in time, the suspect produces a weapon. There's a struggle over the weapon. The officer gives commands to drop the weapon several times, at which time the officer discharges his weapon at the suspect, striking him in the torso. The suspect has since been conveyed to a hospital where he is now pronounced deceased. The other officer who was driving had come around the front, and he had also converged on that same backyard. He was able to hear the officer giving commands to drop the weapon, as well as hear the gunshots. Okay, so right now the Force Investigative Unit is conducting an investigation. The suspect's weapon was recovered. It's a .380 caliber weapon. It was loaded.
Where were you guys? Were they in a backyard, in an alley? Where are we talking about?
So the shooting occurred in the backyard, and like I said, it's one of the homes in the 3400 block of Virginia.
What was the initial response? Was it a vehicle check? What is that?
So the officers have been directed in that area. It's a place that's commonly known for heavy drug sales and robberies, and so their commanders had told them to pay particular attention to that area, and so that's why they were there when they were attempting to conduct a vehicle check.
Chief, a witness told us that she heard two pops. Can you say how many shots were fired from the officer, and was it just that one officer?
Yes. So right now we believe there was 2 shots fired.
Okay. So when you say a vehicle check, so did they see this specific vehicle and it was wanted for something, or are they just checking all vehicles and wanting to stop them? What do you mean by that?
No, I'm saying that the officers, and part of that will be learned in the investigation, but the officers honed in on that particular vehicle. It was suspicious. They were attempting to talk to the individuals, and the passenger ran.
The officer who struggled with the suspect, is that also the one who fired the shot, or was it the other?
That is correct. So the officer that followed us, that chased the suspect on foot, is the officer that actually discharged his weapon. He's a male. He's been on the department 2 years. He's 33 years old. The driver officer is been on the department 3 years, and he's 41.
So how does this get investigated going forward?
So it'll be as you would normally suspect. They would do a lot of interviews. They would talk to people. They would see if there's any camera surveillance, and all that will be a part of the investigation.
And were any drugs found at the scene?
At this point, that's uncertain at this time.
But the car that they were initially trying to stop for the vehicle check, did that car get away with the driver? Because you said this was the passenger.
Right. So that right now they're still doing an investigation on that car. So that car was not recovered.
There's been several carjackings, a murder down just a couple blocks resulting from a car robbery. Is that why there are more officers in the area? Is that where this vehicle check came in play? So
this particular area, again, as I mentioned, is that known for heavy drug sales and robberies, and several of the businesses in and around Grand and Gravois have been robbed, and it's also known for heavy drug sales.
One more question. Can you tell us why the officers continued chasing him if he was climbing over the fence, getting away? At that point, you're not saying that he was wanted for something in particular. It was a vehicle stop. Why keep chasing him? Why make that risk? Right.
So they wanted to continue their investigation, and so they were doing that. That's why they followed the person.
Even with the chance that he might have had a gun?
As I mentioned, like I said, the place was heavy with a lot of drug sales, and there's a lot of robberies over there. And so the officers were doing due diligence in trying to make a vehicle check. Person ran that was making gestures in front of his waistband, and so the officer continued that inquiry by chasing.
And you said you're still looking for the driver of that vehicle?
That is correct. So the vehicle was not there upon our return.
Do you know whether or not this person was wanted?